Um, so, even if, say, you're at a 20, right? Think about where you were a year ago, a month ago, a week ago. Think about when you were 15. You want to only compare yourself to yourself, not to anything you see out there in social media or any person with what seems like a great life or a great relationship. Just think about where you've come from and how you've leveled up. And even if, say you're at a 50 and you used to be at a 90, you know how you felt at a 90, you know what was present in your life. And so the reason we're mapping this out logically is to A, be really real with ourselves, B, give us a bit of a to-do list. It's, we all love, a lot of us love making to-do lists. And three, just notice what helps you and makes you feel whole. And you can take some time right now to plan out for each of those two categories before we move on to the other two. Now that you've scored yourself based on how you logically are, and you have an idea of your ideal, and then you see how you feel in the moment, you have a lot more information about your system. So how you felt in the moment about that first number and what you wrote in that second number. If there's any variance, even if it's one variance, even if it's 71 and 72, that means your right and left brain aren't perfectly integrated. That means you're not perfectly in this moment, perfectly aware of your life as a whole. That's not good, that's not bad. That's just like if you have great handwriting with one hand and not another, there is just an imbalance of energy, of focus, of attention, either historically or in this moment. And that just is. We're stripping away all meaning. As Hermetics say, the all is in all. So everything is completely meaningless and everything is completely meaningful. So I'd like you to take the omega to the alpha and just say there's no meaning in this. This is just a measure of life as it has been. Okay, cool. So now, as we want to map out goals with this, again, thinking of this um, pyramid shape. And I like to use physical objects more than digital stuff. Digital stuff is great, and I'll probably add that in editing, or it's there if you see it. But how many square inches is on the bottom of this crystal? I'd say, oh, maybe it's 34. No. So we could just say, well, let's just say there's 34 square inches. Why not? Just make it simple, right? Because you're also seeing that number, even though it's probably less than that. If this is whole for the entire pyramid to exist, and there's 20 existing, then it's going to be lopsided. It's going to fall over. Or if they just dematerialized, there won't be a lot of balance. And if there was one, it would totally wobble and topple over. So in thinking about your life, think about what does it take for you to have full and complete getting to 100%. And just to break it down into easy goals, let's work with 10% chunks. So if you're at a 90, you have one chunk. If you're at a 10, you have 9 chunks. And we can always revise this, but in goal setting and life planning workshops where I teach online, I teach in person, I support people one-on-one in our mentoring sessions, you just think of the life goals that are reasonable, that are achievable, that are based in a time frame, that you can measure, and that you have somebody to help you be accountable. Typical SMART goal system, to go in the exact SMART order, but it's just a really great way of setting up goals. You can Google SMART goal systems, and they're really useful unless you go very deep in goal systems and goal setting, and learn other philosophies. And people rag on the SMART goal system, but it's great just for a quick structure. And so right now, we've practiced for progress. And even if you only have 5 minutes, you can watch the rest of the video later. I urge you to do this exercise, even just with one square. It doesn't matter if you have 9 to-dos, or nine or even 10 to-dos for each of those first 2 levels. Just be real with yourself and say, what could take you up 10%? Right? What is realistic with your life exactly as it is today that you can take you up to the next 10%? And if you're at a 30 and you want to be at an 80, you can fill in all those bubbles. And if one of those bubbles has a certain requirement, like moving or changing jobs or getting money or healing something, that's all part of that first foundations of sustaining your physical being list. And just short to-do list, 5 to-dos maximum. Make them things that you can do, and ideally write out the exact number of hours you need for each thing. And so, you might possibly have 25 to-dos. I would encourage you to have significantly less than that. Just think of up to 5, maybe 3, even just one thing that you could do to take yourself up. But to do this fully and properly, to be at 100% at one of these areas, you want to have exactly mapped out what you need to do by how many hours it takes to get yourself all the way up to 100%. I often talk about demystifying mysticism. Fitness is demystified. There's so many books and videos, teachers and gurus that figuring out fitness isn't super difficult. Figuring out your digestive system, if you have digestive issues, that could be a bit more complex. but the information is out there, and a temple is built brick by brick. So all that knowledge you can build. Every day, your second time in the bathroom, read one article, watch one video on any topic that you want to learn more about, and eventually your knowledge in that topic will be enough to help you resolve what you need to resolve. And if it isn't, if it's very complex, reach out to me or somebody else, and we can help you. We can share what we've learned from doing that significant time over time. Okay, so I'd like you to finish this exercise for both of those two levels before we move on, just so you can get the progress from the information you're getting here. All right, so moving on, what are the next two levels, the higher levels, the spiritual areas we're working on? So one is where you as an ego are your best egoic self. Ego isn't bad. You could even say Jesus had an ego, even though a very specific and designed and often consistent one. So an ego is just a personality, throwing out all meanings, and if anything comes up related to the word ego, whether it's from Guardians of the Galaxy or something somebody said or an idea you have, send them all in here. And as you consider your ego, your personality, the exact same thing. And we're just going to zip a little bit faster now. Just do the exact same exercise. You've rated yourself on that scale of 0 to 100, logically, emotionally, and you have your to-do list. Maybe you want to break certain habits. Maybe if you're a certain type of an angry person or a fearful person, you want to read about love, compassion, forgiveness, courage. You want to read inspirational stuff, positive stuff. You want to do as Joe Dispenza says in his excellent book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. You want to realize that the neurons that fire together, wire together. So if something happens that irritates you, and it happens often, with your meditation, your mindfulness training, you catch yourself, you say, no, I want to respond this way. You breathe, you center. You're like, how do I want to respond? I want to laugh, release that energy. And now that that energy is released, you want to be aligned, right? According to your values. And how do you respond? Maybe no response is needed. Maybe if you have incoming energy in the form of words from somebody else, you want to think, okay, how would my best self respond? And you want to respond that way. And I often get pushback, and people say, David, isn't that being inauthentic? No, it's not. Your best self is just as authentic as your reactive self. Yourself in front of a lover is your authentic self. Yourself in front of a grandparent or a child is also your authentic self. They're different aspects of you.